Now, we're going to switch over to two of my favorite people in the whole universe, Steve Forbes of Forbes Media, Steve Moore of Committee to Unleash Prosperity and Freedom Works and all that is good in the world. Gentlemen, I'm going to go to something that Nancy Pelosi said, which is utterly insane. But I just want to, while you're here, you heard the back end of that riff. You know, Steve Forbes, all I'm asking here is that Joe Biden act like the leader of the free world. That's what I'm asking. Stop cowering and stop running underneath the desk every time Putin saber rattles.
Well, that's what was so disgraceful about that MiG decision.
Yes.
Putin feels, the reason Putin feels he can still win this is that if he ramps up the rhetoric enough, ramps up the pressure enough, Biden will back down. And what Biden did on the MiGs reinforces that. And so Biden's got to stop realizing that he's not a pacifist anymore. He's got to start acting like Franklin Roosevelt in World War II, Winston Churchill, making it very clear, Charles de Gaulle in France, making it very clear, we are in this to win, not to contain. We're now in the Reagan mode. We're in this to win. Russia must be defeated, as you said. And the amazing thing is the Ukrainians will be able to do it if they're given the equipment to do the job.
100%. That's the thing. Remember Reagan said his strategy was we win, you lose?
Very simple.
That was this. I love that. Just putting it right out there. And that's what we need now. Steve Moore, the American economy is $23 trillion. The Russian economy is $1.5 trillion, maybe. Wow. Maybe. Okay. Wow. Russia, we have, however belatedly, the sanctions on their central bank stripped their foreign exchange reserves, and the ruble has collapsed. You know, the joke we were having last week, what's the difference between a ruble and a dollar? And the answer is $1. All right, there is.
I like that one.
I'm glad I finally got a laugh out of that. I've been trying to work that one for a while. So I'm just saying, I just want Biden to remind Putin of the strength that we have, really any market economy, but particularly this U.S. American market economy, even with the damage that Biden's done to it on inflation and fossil fuels. We're going to whip these guys. Yeah. Putin's got to understand that.
Well, to quote another great statesman, Larry Kudlow, you've always said, strong at home, yes, strong abroad. But it's also the reverse is true. When you're strong abroad, you're stronger at home as well. And that, I think, you know, taking a tougher stance on this Russia situation will actually help the American economy.
Absolutely. You know what? You're absolutely right. That's a very important point. Okay. Now, you got to go and take a look at this. Nancy, I'm calling this Nancy Pelosi 101, gentlemen. Please take a listen.
When we're having this discussion, it's important to dispel some of those who say, well, it's the government spending. No, it isn't. The government spending is doing the exact reverse, reducing the national debt. It is not inflationary.
That's what they believe.
I mean, that's
Bidenomics.
You heard that?
Yeah.
The government spending reduces the debt and inflation. Would you, Steve Moore? You're a terribly smart guy. Can you walk me through this? This is
well, you know, that's why I wrote this book, Govzilla. You know, it's about government growth just destroying the American economy.
What is she talking about?
But well, those are the talking points the president uses as well. This is the Democratic new mantra: we can continue to spend and borrow and print money, and it's not going to have an unhappy ending. I think she kind of misspoke when she said that all this extra spending doesn't increase the deficit. Obviously, it does. But they're having a hard time connecting the dots between the multi-trillions of dollars that they've spent and borrowed and that flood of money. Well, Steve Forbes just wrote the book on inflation, causing prices to rise at a dramatic pace.
And the thing is, it's like saying infections aren't bad for you. and it's preposterous. You know, in days of old, when you got sick, they'd bleed you. And they wondered why that got rid of the pain for the patient, because it got rid of the patient. And so that's what she's doing to this economy. It's Alice in Wonderland, Nancy Pelosi's version of Alice in Wonderland. And maybe she's writing for Saturday Night Live. And, who knows? Maybe she's being straight. I don't know.
It's just kind of hard to say with a straight face. Okay, so step back for a minute. We're going to go 2 segments here. You guys can stick around for a while, and I appreciate you coming up. Made the journey from Washington, D.C. But look, we talked about Saving America, Kill the Bill. We got that done. By the way, Joe Manchin won another one today.
I saw that. He's going to oppose that Fed nominee.
Yes, Bloom. Sarah Raskin
fantastic.
Bloom. Who
Joe
hates,
Manchin, way to be.
Right, hates
You're
fossil.
saving
hates
the country.
She was going to go on the Fed and
right.
be the top bank regulator.
By the way, people need to know she's the one who wants to make green energy the mandate of the
for the Fed.
Yeah,
for the Fed.
Which is
make it virtually illegal for the financial system to finance fossil fuels.
Right. So, and Pat Toomey pulled the walkout of all 11, I think, Republican senators, so they couldn't vote on the banking committee, and then on a floor vote, they could take it
This
to the floor.
probably kills her nomination, doesn't it?
Yes, it will. They're going to have to withdraw the nomination. They don't have the votes on the floor. So that's one good thing, and climate change got hurt. Well, you're going to say...
No, it just underscores again how utterly unrelated. This is part of our conference we've had before, discussion before on modern socialism. They're going to try to wreck the fossil fuel industry, not through legislation, but
through
by
regulation.
making it illegal for surviving, especially wildcatters who need financing. Big companies, you can buy back stock, you can increase your dividends. We won't approve of it, but by golly, don't invest in new exploration. Don't ramp up existing wells that you already have.
Great
and that's why 1.5 million barrels are being produced less today than there were 2 years ago. And yet again, with Alice in Wonderland, we're increasing it. When is it decreased an increase? I mean,
Great piece, by the way,
preposterous.
today by my friend Harold Hamm.
Yes.
Who's really one of the godfathers of the whole shale revolution.
Yes.
And he said, look, you do three things. You deregulate the oil and gas industry, you get the government out of the way, you get rid of all these new taxes, and he said we can produce enough oil and gas in this country so we don't need to import any oil ever again.
Did you see the governor of Michigan was another Wall Street Journal editorial? Whitmer, is that her name?
Yes.
Yes.
So she's stopping a pipeline which would bring Canadian oil down through Michigan and over to the east and the northeast.
You know what's crazy
Just
about
stop
that?
it?
You know what's crazy about that? If you're a green, you should like pipelines. Pipelines are by far the most environmentally safe way to transport the oil and the gas, rather than using trucks that can, turn over or trains that.
But she has this crazy view this is going to harm the environment, may harm the lake, even though this has been studied time and time again. That pipeline is safe, but she's been doing this almost 2 years now.
You want me to take a break? You want me to take a break right now? We're going to come back with Steve Forbes and Steve Moore. All right. No, then we're going to stay some more. We have more work to do here. Okay, hang on a second. All right, I want to raise another point in the Biden economy. All right, so he's blaming inflation on Vladimir Putin. Right? It's just the last few weeks so. My old and dear friend Robert Sinch, veteran Wall Street economist, I just want to read this stuff. It's so much darn fun. Did a little piece over the weekend. What prices are rising? Okay, so it's besides hotels, motels, and other lodging, new and used motor vehicles, furniture and bedding, chicken, men's shirts and sweaters, admissions, lunch meats, laundry and dry cleaning, tools, hardware and supplies, baby food, full-service meals and snacks, purchase of pets and supplies, motor vehicle repair, non-prescription drugs. The only price that's falling is smartphones. All right, smartphone prices have gone down.
Hey, God.
This is Robert Sinch.
And can I add something to what you're saying? So I just did these numbers too. 82% of the rise of inflation and the cost of oil happened before.
Yes.
Before.
Yes, absolutely.
Putin went into Ukraine. So
Jerome Powell at the Fed should sue for libel that he's now being said he's the real Putin.
Well, but why does Biden lie about this? In other words, Putin invades 3 weeks ago. The troops were starting in November on the border, but there was no invasion, there was no stoppages, there was no nothing. In other words, Biden's lying. He has amnesia about the year before the Putin invasion. And there's a very good piece today by Charles Cook in the National Review online about this. These lies that Putin tells, like, for example, the Build Back Better was paid for.
You said Putin. You said
Putin.
The lines that Biden is telling.
Yeah,
right.
not even I want to confuse Biden with Putin. No. So I apologize to Mr. Biden on that front. Thank you for correcting me. But I'm just trying to say those lies hurt him enormously. as Charles Cook in the National Review said. He doesn't have to do that, but then again, he does, I guess, because he won't get to the root cause, which is overspending.
Well, that's right. And it gets to character, which is the real killer.
Right.
People will put up with a lot of pain. Even in 1982, when Ronald Reagan took a hit when the economy was going down to fight inflation, the losses in the midterm elections were rather mild. They actually gained seats in the Senate because people sensed that even though things were tough, there was a man of character in there. They believed in the policies, and let's give a chance for these policies to work. There's no real core belief other than socialism motivating these people, and they dare not mutter the word too much unless you're AOC or Bernie, and so that they can't tell the truth.
So one last point,
and they have no core.
Inflation. This is going to be the worst year in 20 years for family income. Real family incomes are declining because of this massive inflation, and it is killing the middle class.
Why? I don't understand, though. I mean, we've got Louisiana Congressman. Actually, can we bring him in, Jordan? Let's just bring him in. He can participate. Our great friend, Steve Scalise, House member from Louisiana, House Republican whip. Steve Scalise, you're in a tough crowd here with Steve Forbes and Steve Moore. It's a very, very rough crowd. I'm going to do the best I can to protect you from these guys. But I was just going to ask, and not that you need protection. So I just want to ask, I want to go to you first, Steve Moore. They just
the three Steves here. So
he's going, but
it's a Steve fest, Larry.
Yeah, I guess it is actually. So there hasn't been enough discussion of the $1.5 trillion omnibus bill that was just passed by both houses. Okay, but I want to say I'm in favor of the military spending, particularly now. I'm in favor of the Ukraine spending, obviously now. I'm not in favor of the domestic spending, and I'm absolutely startled by two things. Not once in this discussion did anyone talk about pay-fors. Look, I don't really want to pay for it, but I'm just saying, with deficit spending last March, we should have learned a lesson. Right. Build Back Better should have learned a lesson. And then comes the earmarks, $8 billion worth of earmarks, which I thought we had buried and put a stake through 10 years ago. Now, I'm going to let you speak, and then I want Mr. Scalise to address.
So the increase in the spending for Ukraine should have been dollar for dollar offset by reductions in the domestic spending budget.
Right.
You know, it's breads for. We needed the military spending, so we should have cut. Steve Scalise, what I favor from Republicans is a 10% across the board reduction in domestic spending now. We spent $3 to $4 trillion. We put ourselves in a big hole. I would love to see Republicans get tough on spending.
What you think, Steve Scalise?
Yeah, and the most important thing is to stop paying people not to work, stop all this quote-unquote stimulus, just the flood of money that was going in to pay people to replace work. And I think you're finally seeing that attitude, not only amongst us, but Joe Manchin's definitely in this camp too. And so what you need to do, and you think about defense, I mean, for goodness sake, Biden didn't want to properly fund defense. And by doing short-term bills on defense, it actually costs our nation's defense about $1 billion a month that we lose in the ability to do any kind of long-term planning. And so that now at least is resolved. But look, Biden still doesn't get it on Ukraine. He doesn't want to give them the help. You know, they're having this fight over the MiGs, and it's Poland's MiGs. It's not even American planes. Now, America would come behind and backfill NATO's planes that they would give to Ukraine. But Biden doesn't even want to help them with that. He dithered for months on the surface-to-air missiles that they were asking for. Imagine if back in October, Zelensky, when he started asking for surface-to-air missiles, was able to get it before Russia invaded. A lot of this bombing you're seeing, just leveling of cities and killing people like genocide, would have been able to be prevented because they would have been able to train the Ukraine military to use those kind of weapons. They can't even get a lot of those weapons in right now because it's a war zone. So all of these are signs that President Biden continues to have this attitude of, well, he doesn't want to help Ukraine too much because he might offend Putin. Stop funding Putin's war by opening up energy in America. We should be drilling in every part of the country we can to lower prices and take Putin's leverage away. Biden won't do that either.
Think about Rick Perry's idea, Steve Scalise, that instead of sending diplomats to Iran and to Venezuela, we should send a special envoy to Midland, Texas, where they could meet the oil and gas industry
Right.
and maybe draw up a
And
peace
you don't
treaty.
even need to beg them. You don't even need to beg them. He's begging dictators to replace one dictator in Putin with other dictators in Iran and Venezuela. Stop begging dictators. The answer's beneath our feet. Midland would be happy to do it in Port Fourchon in South Louisiana. They're ready to go. They know how to do it safely. By the way, more environmentally friendly than anywhere else in the world. So they talk about carbon emissions. The places they're trying to beg, like Iran and Venezuela, emit more carbon than if you made it in America. These people are wrong on every front. Make it in America. You'll lower the cost and you'll lower carbon emissions. Stop hanging out with these Green New Deal frauds who say, oh, don't drill in America, and then they force you to drill in places like Russia and Iran who emit more carbon. It's lunacy.
And you stand up to Putin. You would stand up to Putin.
And you take money out of his pocket.
Put our best foot
Hundreds of
forward.
millions of dollars a day Putin is pocketing off of oil sales. And a higher price, by the way, benefits Putin. Stop buying from him and stop buying from other dictators.
Yes, sir. Steve Scalise, thank you. Appreciate it very much. Thanks very much for your time.